Burnout can manifest for many reasons and can show up in varying degrees of physical, emotional, and spiritual symptoms. Please see a doctor or a licensed professional to assist you through this. But in the meantime, what if we use tarot to understand what burnout is doing for you? What it might be signaling to you? This reading won't tell you how to recover from burnout. It will show you a pattern or a deeper message that lives beneath the surface of the symptoms, and that may help you to avoid burnout in the future. My readings tend to go where the inner work is required, which is not always comfortable, but always useful. Please use your discernment, and if you're ready to notice or take agency and shift something in your life, welcome in. Spend a few moments to get settled before you choose your pile. And if you're ready to choose, the timestamps are in the description. However, for those who would like a close-up of the Soul Path cards today, let me do that right now. For Soul Path 1, we have Trust. For Soul Path 2, we have Selfhood, Introspection, and Identity. And for Soul Path 3, I'm only going to show the top card, which is Subconscious, but you do have a second card underneath that. And when you feel guided and ready, use your intuition, head into the description to choose the timestamp for the reading that you're most drawn to, and we'll see you over there. For those who chose Trust, this message is going to be for you. There is a sense here that I'm getting from this card, and based on this text, you're welcome to journal about it, if that might help you. But I feel there is a connection to trusting your own discernment, your own guidance, your own inner knowing. And this burnout has to do with overthinking or overconsidering other people's emotions, thoughts, ideas. So you're spinning your wheels in some area of your life. And in that process, what you believe to be true, what your heart's desire is falling into the background of the noise. Now, this could simply be you intaking a lot of information, seeking knowledge, or simply just watching a lot of things, listening to a lot of things, reading a lot of things, and just having an information overload here. So I feel that your burnout is helping you see that more information isn't necessarily helping you get to a clearer answer, or a clearer answer that is truest to your own knowing. It's somewhat clouding the facts or clouding your own sense of judgment. So I want to know what your burnout is about in regards to this topic card, theme card that you chose. And you're welcome to share more details in the comments about this if you feel comfortable. I would love to hear, especially because the justice is on the table. We have truth. We have the whole truth and nothing but the truth. We have your delay with the Eight of Wands, of not being able to make a decision, not seeing momentum, not moving forward, not manifesting. Maybe there's a lot of things, and I cannot make this any clearer. Ace of Swords in reverse is what your burnout is about here. This could be connected to the past, or that could be part of this burnout, is there is a past attachment to something that is difficult to let go of. So it could be a past identity that you've been familiar with. This could be a person or a situation that is really clouding your judgment about what decisions you need to make to move forward or to detach from something, to make a balanced decision. And I feel like this burnout cycle, or this particular burnout you're experiencing, is a mental burnout and a frustration from the stagnancy that this burnout is causing. It's like, I can't make, it's almost like a stalemate energy. But I feel it's on a grander scale. So it could affect multiple areas of life or a big part of your life, because we do have a major arcana here. So this is about making a decision that is, it's like you're trying to be fair. But in trying to be fair, in trying to consider all of the angles, the perspectives, the information, the facts, I feel like the facts are being lost, just like this card mentioned. It's like your truth and what you need to make a decision, it's like buried under all of the noise. So right now, there could be a lot of internal, I want to say internal fatigue, but mental fatigue. This could just be an overall tiredness as well, or a lack of motivation to move forward or to travel. It's like I've got so much on my mind that I don't really have the reserves to be putting it elsewhere, and wherever elsewhere that may be. So what's going on underneath all of this? I want to know what's driving this. 2 cards. Thank you. 9 of Swords and 7 of Wands in reverse. Yeah, you're trying to relieve the amount of pushback, the amount of anxiousness or stressfulness or worry. So it's kind of interesting. It's like you're trying to see all of the I don't want to say roadblocks. You're trying to see all the ways in which other people might perceive your decision, your judgment, the way you do something. It's like you're trying to avoid or protect yourself, avoid having people push back, having people, it's like you're trying to avoid the stress or the anxiety that either you don't want to feel or you don't want others to feel. So you're trying to minimize, that's the word I was looking for. Sorry, it took so long to get there. But again, it's like I'm trying to make a point and I'm having a hard time getting there. Because I'm trying to like go through all of the words. What am I trying to say? What is that word? Thinking, overthinking, getting in my head. Because you don't want to be on the defense. You want to be a little more passive. You want to make sure that you're making a decision that is fair for all. And that might not be possible. I'm not sure. But then in the process, there's significant delays. Maybe there's communication issues. Maybe you are internalizing this worry or fear yourself. So you're taking on extra worry, extra stress, extra fear because of what you don't want to happen in the external world. Minimizing other people's stress and worries, but maximizing yours. So I wonder what that 8 of Wands, if that's what that 8 of Wands is. It's like it's all being directed back to you. And so, that is quite exhaustive. Again, mental exhaustion. We have the Swords here again. We have Wands here. So just like a lack of, I want to say not a lack of spirit, but it's really dull. The motivation to make the decision to move forward is like, ooh, this is it's a bit of a tricky one. So what's going to help here? Spirit, show us what's going to help, what may be needed now. The 3 of Wands. So we have Wands energy, but it is kind of stepping back from the 8, the 7, way, way, way back. It's kind of a passive energy. So it's almost like maybe you're doing the right thing. Maybe you feel like you're not doing the right thing, but I don't think it's the right thing in the way you think. The right thing isn't necessarily to try to appease everybody or try to find the exact, perfect, correct decision that is going to make everyone happy and is going to reduce the amount of stress. I feel like there's a perfectionism going on here of like, I have to make the exact right decision or else. So there's a pressure, but it's not about that. It's about taking your time. There may be some planning involved, but really coming back to the reason why you're making this decision. Why are you making this decision? That might be the one thing that you need in order to help you make some decision or some judgment that is very discerning, that is very grounded. because I feel there's a lot of information coming at you. And it's like, well, what do I do with all of this information? What is the correct decision? My judgment is completely clouded here. It's not about making the perfect decision and hoping that you don't make a mistake and hoping that you don't create stress or worry for people. The intention is valid. The intention is good, but it might not be possible. So it's about you coming back to the basics, coming back to why you need to make this decision, why you feel you have to make it now, and what are the facts at hand? What is true for you? What do you know to be true? And once you start taking action, once you have made a decision, it's about not just about being patient with, what am I trying to say here? See, I'm getting wrapped up in the weeds again. So the burnout might be because you're trying to make a perfect decision, but actually what will help you here is to be observant and patient with what you know to be true, not what am I missing? What can I avoid? What can I protect, or how can I protect? But based on the facts that I have right now, what is true? Why is it important? Why do I need to make this decision now? And taking your time with that process. I do feel you will make this decision here, and it's not about making the decision and continuing to take action or to step into the ring and to keep going and to justify and to explain and to whatever is happening, whatever noise comes up afterwards. It's about being patient to see what happens. Okay, I'm going to leave that there because there is a lot coming in. And the tower at the bottom of the deck is what's getting in the way of recovering from this burnout, or what can you do to shift out of this burnout? Yeah, some fireworks might fly here. But I feel like it's there's an acceptance of that, of understanding that there is. I feel like this decision has a bigger either lesson or a bigger reason or meaning behind it. It's not about making the decision. It's something that could potentially shift your direction. It could potentially uproot some kind of foundation here, but this also could be an internal foundation of, this is what I used to do. People please. I used to overthink. I used to ruminate. I used to try to make the correct decision, but now I'm doing something just a little bit different. And in that doing different, making a different decision, getting to that choice a little bit differently, you completely do something unexpected and almost surprise yourself. Because maybe you feared doing that in the past and now you're doing it and it feels different. It feels like you're starting to move ahead towards what feels more aligned, more correct. So that is the message I have for you, my dear Soul Path 1. I'd love to know what's happening here and what meaningful message you're taking away today. And if you're sensing there's a little more to unpack, there's a link in the description to join my private collective and gain access to my booking calendar. Thanks for stopping by today, and I hope to see you soon. For those who chose selfhood, introspection, and identity, welcome into your message. Strong focus on yourself, your identity here, just what's jumping out at me from the card here. And maybe you have taken some time to understand yourself better, to introspect. There could be a lot of things that you feel might need to be fixed. So there could be a lot of spirituality or healing modalities involved in this, self-discovery, inner work, all of that stuff. But you could be moving through an identity shift. And maybe that is the signal that what you're carrying in terms of your identity or how you have identified is no longer beneficial or resonant or useful. So this could be kind of the root cause of that burnout, of you identifying with an identity or a situation or a person or how you've done something that you know that your soul no longer identifies with. You've outgrown something here. So the burnout might be you trying to hang on to that, trying to show up in that way, not in a malicious way, but it's because that's what you're familiar with. That's what you've known. So what happens when I follow this urge to do something different or express differently? Yeah, it's like you're becoming more aligned to who you are at the core, and the burnout might be because of the hanging on. We'll see. Spirit for Soul Path 2, what is this burnout about? Show us more in regards to this. 10 of Wands, yep. And I am going to ask, yep, the world in reverse, the cards are on point tonight. Are you avoiding this? Or maybe what are you avoiding within what are you avoiding letting go? What are you avoiding putting down? Because I feel you have some clarity here about something. But I don't feel you're acting upon it yet. Or maybe you feel you need to learn more. I just got to master this thing. I just have to master this other thing is what I'm hearing. So there could be something else involved here. I have to master this thing to bridge the gap between there and there. I have to make this transition seamless. So I can't, there's a limiting, maybe a thought or an idea here. Sun at the bottom of the deck. So again, your soul expression is hidden at the bottom of the deck here, but it's waiting. And I think you know enough. Maybe you're worried about falling down. I'm just thinking of the Humpty Dumpty story here. This feels very vulnerable just in the visuals here. You know, it's really clear at the top of that wall. It's above the mountains. It's above the clouds. You can see things from a broad point of view, a higher perspective, but there's a risk to that. What if you fall? What if you fail? So it's like, well, I got to learn to master something here. So maybe that is part of that avoidance, is that either you're trying to know something more, or there could be someone else involved, but this could be an aspect of you as well. But there's something heavy that maybe you've put down, but maybe you're avoiding. And I say avoiding because the world is in reverse. If the world was in the upright position, I might say that you've put it down and you've completed some kind of cycle. But because the world is in reverse, it's like the chapter hasn't finished yet, or you feel the chapter hasn't finished yet. So it's like you have to finish writing it. I don't know, maybe you're a writer. But there's a soul expression here. You want to be a little more freer in your expression, free in who you want to be. But yeah, let's see what's going on underneath all of this. What's going on underneath? Page of Swords. Yeah, I mean, the cards are pretty clear tonight. And that introspection that I'm just seeing on that pink card there, it's like, yeah, you feel like you don't know enough. But I don't know what's going to happen when I step into this identity, when I let that thing go. If this doesn't have to do with identity, then it's about some kind of role you've played, something that you've associated with for a really long time. This is definitely an identity shift. You could be going through a dark night of the soul. So everything changes within you, where all of the things that you used to do that were familiar or attached to who you were, how you identified, all of a sudden comes into question, and you no longer feel like you resonate with that thing. I've been there. It is the most disorienting place to be. And I have gotten rid of old businesses that I lovingly built over 7 years. I let go of an identity that I carried in my career for 20 years. I went from being a graphic designer and illustrator to a tarot reader and coach. Never ever thought that that would happen in my life. because I went to school for art. That's all I did since I was 4 years old, was art. And so to let that identity go was absolutely heartbreaking. But I no longer resonated with it in the way that I once did. I was burnt out from that. But I also, starting a new career and a new business, going through a business shift in midlife, that is pretty scary. So I feel your situation isn't the same, but it feels very similar and familiar here. It's like you don't know enough, but you actually know more than you think. And maybe this is a learning process. Maybe there is a sense of you mastering something here, mastering your identity, creating from a new identity with the magician underneath. But right now, your logic and your conditioned beliefs and your intuition are all battling for your attention. And so what's true? And that's you're in the space of what is true now. So I want to say to take your time in this and that you've done nothing wrong, because that could be why certain things aren't being let go of right now. But I feel there's a heaviness that needs to be dropped. And I think you know what that is. And that's part of this process. And it could be a month-long process. It could be years long. It doesn't have to all go today. So take the pressure off. This will take time because this is a big freaking deal. So let's look at what will help. Ace of Swords in reverse. Yeah, this and Soul Path 1 might be a little bit helpful because the Ace of Swords was part of that burnout. But I feel the Ace of Swords here is really stepping into your truth and clarifying what your truth is, regardless of what external people, situations, circumstances will have you believe. So yeah, you're challenging your beliefs, challenging what you have believed. Allow that to be okay because you're going to discover a new truth in this space. So it's about navigating the fog as best as possible and allowing the fog to remain until you start to define the beliefs that you now care about, the values that you now want to align with and start moving from. Because it's those core things that aren't attached to our past, that aren't attached to a career. It's about, well, what's true for me now? And how can I move forward with this new identity or new belief or new story? You're rewriting a whole bunch of things here. And that's, maybe there's an expectation of I should know, but actually no. If you feel like you don't know everything, that's okay too, because this is a process of learning, relearning, and returning to maybe something that feels more aligned with your identity. So let's look at bottom of the deck, which is the Devil. So what's getting in the way of burnout recovery or shifting out of burnout is this Devil card. And this is old habits, old patterns, old behaviors, old thoughts, I don't want to say old people, but people that you've attached to that you've outgrown. There is something that you have outgrown here that once you have acknowledged what you have outgrown, you'll be able to break some kind of shell and have some kind of breakthrough. But understanding what that looks like, what that is, may take time. But look at where you are attached to things that are either unhealthy for you and that you're no longer doing, but maybe doing out of habit, that are downright toxic and not conducive to your personal growth, to supporting your health, and the maladaptive coping mechanisms as well. And the ways that you might move through difficulty. How do you manage? How do you cope? And how are you coping right now? What are some ways that you can cope in a more healthy way, a more balanced way, a way that aligns to your new identity, wellness, health? There could be a person here that you might need to detach from and get really clear with. So I'm going to leave the reading here. My dear soul path 2, I'd love to know what this is if you feel comfortable sharing, and I'd love to know what meaningful message you're taking away today. If you're sensing there is a little more to unpack here as well, there is a link in the description to join my private collective and gain access to my booking calendar. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope to see you soon. For those who chose the subconscious, welcome into your message. I'm just going to leave this up for a minute. If you want to take down some of these questions, it might be good for journaling. But your burnout could very well be within the subconscious. Maybe it's attached to ideas, thoughts, or feelings that are hiding from your current awareness. Maybe there's unknown narratives or beliefs that are driving this burnout. Maybe the way you see yourself, the world, the situation. And what's emerging right now in this burnout? I feel that that's part of it too. This is shadow work. So yeah, this is something that shadow work is something that I feel is powerful because it creates wholeness. It creates more awareness. It helps us move towards healing. And you did get a second card, which is challenge. So some subconscious challenges. I hurdle a problem, a conflict, or opposition, daunting or difficult task, something outside of your comfort zone. I also heard control that is causing you stress or testing your perceived limitations. It's a fearful situation or an exciting opportunity. So there could be an exciting opportunity that this burnout is blocking you from because your subconscious is like, actually, no, that's a fearful situation. We're not doing that. So check in on that, because that's the first thing that came to mind when these two cards sit together, is that when a challenge is presented or there's an opportunity, maybe your subconscious sees it as a challenge or sees it as something fearful that it needs to avoid. But in reality, you've just never done it before, or in saying yes to this opportunity, overcoming this challenge, you're confronting not just that thing, but you're confronting deeper rooted subconscious beliefs, unknown narratives that are driving that bus there. So here we go. I don't know how to put these cards. It's the strangest thing to be, not strangest thing to be upset about, but so let's see for Soul Path 3 Spirit. What is this burnout about? We might be getting into some shadow work, some subconscious work, so be prepared. And if you need any further assistance with that, I would look into working with a shadow work professional. I do shadow work. It naturally comes through in a lot of my readings. So if you'd like a tarot reading, there's a link in the description there. But a lot of the deeper traumas will need professional guidance, not done through tarot. So one more here. What was that one? It's the Strength in reverse, but I'm going to keep going. So we've got two reversals here. One of them is a major arcana. This could definitely point to the subconscious and the decisions that you might be avoiding, the things that you fear letting go. Got a couple here. Ace of Wands in reverse and the Page of Wands in reverse. That's interesting that those two came out together because they're both Wands energy. So the Page is like actively in pursuit of, getting curious, taking action. But the Ace of Wands is in reverse here. So it's like there's an idea being suppressed, but the Page is kind of curious about it. And you have the Two of Wands here as well. So I almost feel like this is you. You're onto some kind of new idea, new pathway, new vision. But in order to do that, in order to step towards this idea and to start nurturing this seed, you have to make a decision and let something go. And this could very well be within the subconscious. This may not be a person, a place, a thing. It could very well be a subconscious thing. Because this Two of Wands is looking in the past. So I have a feeling it has to do with something that happened in your past. So what are you relating this experience to? Or what feels familiar about it? because that might be where the transformation needs to happen. And this is something that is a slow, progressive decay. So it's either something that has been decaying for a long period of time, but you haven't quite released it yet, or it's something that will take a while to release. But I do feel there's fresh energy here with that page. It's just that you can't act upon something yet. Why? I want to know. Queen of Swords. What's going on underneath? Yeah, you're maybe waiting for more information, waiting to get all the facts. You're maybe having some judgments about it. 9 of Cups. Oh, we could be waiting for perfect conditions here. Waiting to feel good about something. And why do I say waiting? Because the queens, they don't usually act. The queens aren't archetypes that activate. They are receiving energy. She's sitting on her throne. She's got her sword up in the air. She's kind of got her feelers out there. It's like, how can I make the best decision? How can I gain the most information so that I can make a really good decision here? Now, in that process too, the queen can be, while she's in her throne here, can be about being really clear in her communications, in what she knows to be true in this moment. It's like, yeah, are you waiting to overcome an obstacle here? Or maybe you're kind of happy where you are. That's interesting too. But there's something burning over here. There's an exciting new path. It feels like you moving through a cycle over and over and over again. I feel your subconscious wants to clear this cycle, wants to cut the cycle out to create more fulfillment for you. So it's like what's happening on the surface, this burnout that is acting as a symptom, is trying to show you what you need to cut out. That's very interesting. And really, I start to help you identify with what actually makes you happy here. Because I feel where you're at, it might be fine, but your soul wants to do something different or something more. Or something more creative. You want to follow your curiosity. And this burnout is you trying to, I don't want to say avoid the decision in a negative way, but it's you trying to make good with what you've got. But underneath, it's like, yeah, your burnout is like, clearly this isn't working. We have to set a boundary. We have to really figure out what's working, what's not, what are the facts, and then really identify with what's making you happy or unsatisfied in this situation. What will make you happier moving forward? King of Wands. That's very interesting. We go from the page to the king. And what will help in this situation, or what's needed now, is for you to step into an empowered energy of action. This isn't about waiting to be happier or waiting to create happiness through the situation that may not be able to create that happiness for you, or open the door to some kind of new opportunity here. It's like you have to make the difficult decision to let something go, to leave something, to walk away from something, to step into something. So maybe something has been let go and you now have to make a decision to step forward into that thing that you desire. So there's an empowered energy here. There's a creative energy here. There's almost like a playfulness or some kind of like on stage feeling of being seen. So there could be a resistance to being seen or an avoidance to being seen. And that could be part of the challenge here, is that you still feel like you're starting something new, but really you're entering this new path with experience, some kind of experience here, and some kind of creative, crafty, expressive idea, something that you're really passionate about. I feel like you're more masterful in it than you think. Or maybe you think what you need requires more than what you have. Maybe it's just about starting to walk this path and being okay not seeing the full picture, but just acting on your truth and your inspiration, acting on your whys, your purpose, the things that make you happy, the things that fulfill you. Start there and make decisions based on that place, rather than waiting for the correct information or the most logical information, and being in that energy of waiting for life to happen, and going and taking action and creating it. Because I feel the waiting for things to be, for conditions to be a certain way, or maybe to wait for the right decision, or to let go of something from the past, it is the thing that's keeping you in this burnout phase. Because it's like you're trying to revive something that has been, I don't want to say non-existent, but hasn't had a lot of vitality in it for a really long time. So it's like time to move forward. Knight of Pentacles in the upright. So what's getting in the way of recovering? This just clarifies that energy of waiting. The Knight of Pentacles is very slow, very mindful. It is an energy of taking your time, of looking at all the details, of focusing on this thing and nothing else. So I feel there's a strong focus on whatever this thing is that may have created the burnout, or the burnout itself. Could be the physical symptoms that you're dealing with, but also look at the underlying values as well that you are aligning yourself to, and what you're focusing on. Because your focus, I feel, is on the thing that you're maybe trying to revive, but it's not working. And that could be why that burnout is still here. Maybe you see this as a challenge as well. So it's like, I can figure this out. But really, it's just about dealing with what's true in the here and now, and aligning to those values. Looking at the subconscious stuff that we talked about at the beginning for more information, if anything. This isn't about receiving external information. Now it's time to maybe look within to determine what your purpose is, what your why is, what your motivations are, and start making decisions and alignments from that place of, what do I believe? What do I have as resources that I can be creative with and work with? How can I rearrange and prioritize my time differently? There's just something here that you're too focused on and you're getting too detailed with, and I feel like the focus has to shift. It's no longer about analyzing, receiving information. It's about taking action. And that might be a challenge for you. So that will be some work that you can maybe do outside of this reading, which might be helpful for you in determining what's next. So I'm going to leave it here. Soul Path 3, I'd love to know what this is if you're comfortable sharing. And I'd love to also hear what message you're taking away from today. And if you're sensing there's a little more to unpack, there's a link in the description to join my private collective and to gain access to my booking calendar. That's all for now. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you again soon.